Cursed Summit. Episode 1. Arrival at the End. Nestled deep within the mist-covered mountains of the Philippines, far from the bustling cities and noisy streets, lies a place long forgotten by Tina. Place where shadows linger just a little too long, and the air is thick with secrets. This place is called La Muerte Inn, a grand hotel in its prime, now a decaying relic of a bygone era. But the walls of La Muerte Inn are not just crumbling. They whisper. Few dare to venture near the hotel now. Locals say it's cursed, a place where despair thrives, and those who enter never leave the same. But for Alicia Martinez, a journalist searching for the story of a lifetime, the warnings were little more than superstition, a challenge to be overcome, rather than a sign to turn back. When Alicia arrived at La Muerte Inn, the sun was already beginning its descent, casting long shadows across the landscape. The hotel loomed before her, its once grand facade now overgrown with vines. The windows dark and empty, like the hollow eyes of a skull. But she wasn't alone. As she stepped out of her car, she was met by an elderly man, Ramon, one of the few villagers who still lived nearby. His weathered face was etched with concern as he approached her.
You shouldn't be here, miss. La Muerte Inn, it's a place of sorrow. It's not safe.
Alicia forced a smile, trying to hide her unease.
I'm just here to gather some information for a documentary,
she explained. But the old man shook his head, his eyes filled with a sadness that seemed ancient, as if he carried the weight of generations on his shoulders.
They say the hotel is cursed. Once you go in, the darkness, it stays with you. Be careful, miss.
With those words echoing in her mind, Alicia turned and walked toward the hotel, determined to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. The lobby of La Muerte Inn was a ghost of its former self. Dust motes danced in the beams of fading daylight that streamed through cracked windows. Once, this place had been filled with laughter, the clinking of glasses, and the murmur of voices. But now, it was silent, as if the hotel itself was holding its breath. On the front desk, she found an old guest book, the names written in elegant, flowing script. She traced her fingers over the faded ink, reading the names of those who had once stayed here. Most were illegible, lost to time, but one name stood out, clearly Elena Cruz. As she stared at the name, a shiver ran down her spine, though she couldn't explain why. Shrugging off the feeling, she took a deep breath and headed to her room. Room 313. The number felt significant, though she couldn't say why. The room was small, the furniture covered in dust, and the air was stale. But it was more than just the state of disrepair that made her uneasy. There was a presence here, something she couldn't quite see, but could feel a weight in the air, a sense that she was not alone. She tried to sleep that night, but the darkness pressed in from all sides. The wind howled outside, and the rain tapped against the windows like skeletal fingers. Just as she began to drift off, a sound pulled her back, a soft, heart-wrenching sob, as if coming from just outside her door. Her heart pounded in her chest as she got up to investigate. The hallway was empty, but the crying continued, leading her to the end of the corridor where a window stood, its glass cracked and clouded with age. But as she reached the window, the crying stopped. She looked out into the darkness, seeing nothing but her own reflection staring back at her, pale and frightened. And then, just as she turned to leave, she caught sight of something, a figure, shadowy and indistinct, standing at the far end of the hall. The figure was gone as quickly as it had appeared, leaving Alicia alone in the silence once more. But she couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her, something ancient and hungry. The next morning, as the first light of dawn broke through the clouds, Alicia found something beneath her bed, a newspaper clipping, yellowed with age. The headline sent a chill through her. Tragic death at Muerte Inn. Woman found dead in apparent suicide. And there, in the photograph, was the woman she had seen in the hallway, Maria, the first of many to fall victim to the hotel's curse. Join us next time as Alicia delves deeper into the tragic history of Muerte Inn, where the past is never truly dead, and the spirits of the lost are waiting to be heard. Until then, sleep well if you can.